Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your Manchester United Transfer News Daily, where we talk about all the latest Manchester United transfer news and give it that real fan opinion. Manchester United apparently making huge moves and transfer offers. This is what we'll be talking about today. Steven Bergwijn, Adrien Rabiot, Milan, Thomas Meunier, Coutinho, and a couple of other players as well. But actually, let me start off on that on Meunier. Very interesting that Arsenal obviously are going to join us in the Thursday club next season. Emmerdale Cup all the way. Meunier was a player that has featured on my Hotometer, as has Steven Bergwijn, which we'll talk about in a moment. But he has featured on my Hotometer. He was a player that I was told a couple of months ago by a journalist that United will sign this summer. So always take those things with a pinch of salt. God, take it with a pinch of salt. There's so much crap out there at the moment. But I think Meunier would have been a good signing for Manchester United. I said this, didn't I? I think he would have been a good signing for United. And looks like he might be going to Arsenal. This is coming from a journalist who is linked to Gazzetta dello Sport, which is Italian. And obviously Meunier is playing in France and Arsenal are English. So a little bit of an odd connection there. But apparently a 5-year deal, Meunier from PSG to Arsenal, which I don't know. I don't know whether I believe it. I think it's so odd, it probably would be true. But it would then lead me to think, well, we're either going to stick with Ashley Young, or maybe, just maybe, there are some things to be said about a Wan-Bissaka deal, because Cancelo is apparently going to be going to Man City. That's expected to be announced very soon. As soon as the new Juventus manager comes in, if he doesn't see his Cancelo as part of his plans, he will be going to Man City. If Meunier goes to Arsenal, that's two right-back options of ours. I mean, there could be another right-back that we're looking at that nobody's heard of, but it would either be Wan-Bissaka or we're going to stick with what we got, I suppose. So could be interesting. Keep your eye on that. But let's go with this huge offer. This is in relation to Adrien Rabiot, but also in relation to Milan as well. We were talking about Lukaku last night. Now, Skriniar has just signed a new contract with Inter Milan. However, Inter Milan have just sacked their manager. Like Juventus, they're going to have a new manager. So a lot of people feel that Skriniar is out of the equation because he signed a new contract at Inter Milan. And I think that's a very logical explanation. But we do know that Lukaku, Conte, Inter is a triangle this summer that should be completed. However, the fee seems to be the issue with Manchester United. Quotes of £80 million that United want for Inter Milan. I don't think Inter Milan want to really go above 60 million anyway. So a player involved in that deal makes a lot of sense. Well, look, why not just say to Inter Milan, I mean, I'd say, can I have Icardi, please? That's what I want. But I would be more than happy to say Skriniar. I mean, Skriniar in today's market probably is worth about £70 million. And if that's what United feel Lukaku's worth, why don't we just say, well, look, I know he signed a new contract for you, but you can get another centre-back. What about Skriniar for Lukaku? Do you want to do that deal? And Inter might say no, and we might have to find another way, because we've got to find a way with this deal. I believe we cannot be stuck with Lukaku. But you don't know. It's a huge offer. We need a really good centre-back. Skriniar, without question, would have been one of my top 5 candidates with the likes of a Varane or a De Ligt or a Koulibaly. So I would try it. And I would say, look, Skriniar for Lukaku, what you going to do? All you can do is say no, and that would be a huge offer for Manchester United, and it would be an absolutely superb swap deal. So let's see what happens with that. I mean, Skriniar, 24 years of age, I think he's going to be a fantastic centre-back, but if we can't get him away from Inter Milan, he's got to leave Inter Milan at some point. I can't see Inter Milan, even with Conte going there, I can't see Inter Milan being a Serie A winner anytime soon, and I think Skriniar is better than that league, to be honest, unless he's going to be playing for Juventus. Maybe that's where he'll go next. But I would push it with Skriniar, I really would. And if not with Skriniar, with Icardi, because I don't think Inter Milan have got the 80 million quid we think we want. And I think Lukaku really 60 million, but I don't even know if Inter Milan have got that sort of money. They seem to want to do a swap deal. So you go with the highest bid, don't you? You go with the highest bid. You go huge. You say, give us Skriniar. That's where you go. Let's see what happens. Another big offer that Manchester United have apparently made is in relation to Adrien Rabiot. He is a player that's been mentioned quite a lot. Again, Arsenal. Last night I saw that Arsenal are interested in him. Of course they are. These are the sort of deals that Arsenal need to do, really. But the great thing about Arsenal now is that they have no advantage over us. You've got Chelsea with a transfer ban. You've got Spurs who, we'll talk about Spurs in a minute, but they are a little bit of a threat. Liverpool and Man City obviously are a threat. They've got Champions League football and they can offer title runs. Of course they can. But Arsenal don't even have Champions League football, and they're a banter team. And they're a banter team like us, but we are Manchester United. We're a bigger club than them. We've got more money to spend than them. So I think they will try to get Rabiot Arsenal, but I can't see him going there. I mean, what is the apart from, unless he wants to go and do Madame Tussauds and the London Eye and stuff like that, Arsenal's pretty well located for that. But surely United would have a head start on those. The interesting thing about Rabiot is if you look at the betting odds, and I know they can be deceptive if you just look at one firm, but I've looked at quite a few. United, probably about 4-1 to 6-1 to get him. So, not bad. But Juventus and Real Madrid, better odds to get Rabiot. And to be honest with you, whatever you think about Adrien Rabiot, he is the complete midfielder. He can do everything. He's over 6 foot. He's good in the tackle. He's good on the ball. He's got attitude problems. He hasn't played this year for PSG. He's 24 though, and he's available for free. And you can't just. The world of football is not going to wash its hands of Adrien Rabiot and say, you've got a bad attitude, we're not going to sign you when you're free. You hope that he learns from that, whatever's gone on at PSG, and his next club, he applies some professionalism and fulfills his talent. That's what you hope. And I think United would be foolish not to be in there, where apparently we've offered a large amount of money to him. Well, we're going to have to do that. Everybody's going to have to do that because he's in that fortuitous position of being out of contract, so you don't pay a transfer fee, and in today's market he'd probably be worth 50 million, so he will be saying, or his agent will be saying, I want massive wages, which could be a stumbling block for United, because I would imagine Rabiot would want around 250,000 pounds a week because he's free, and that could cause a problem for Manchester United. But you've got to be in there. We need a midfielder. I think most of you would say he's a step up on Herrera, which I don't know. Let the proof's in the pudding, but he's certainly 5 years younger and has the ability to be better than Herrera. But Herrera, I think, is a big loss for United. So United in the mix for Rabiot, I'm sure we are. But again, you can flip it the other way and say, is United just being used? Well, in this situation, I don't see why it would be used unless the player's using us to get better wages out of Juventus or Real Madrid, which actually makes a hell of a lot of sense, I suppose, doesn't it? But we'll see with Rabiot. The next player I want to talk about is Steven Bergwijn. Now, he is a player that we've spoken about on my Hotometer. He's not towards the top. I think I've given him like a 30% chance of coming to Manchester United. I remember speaking about him in January. He's had a very good season for PSV Eindhoven. Very fast, skillful, got a lovely shot on him, and obviously would fill that right wing position for United. He can play off the left as well. Plays for the same club as Lozano. Can play up front. Can play numerous positions. Very, very exciting. 21 years of age, and I think it's been touted for a while that he would leave PSV this summer. So the question is where. The Premier League is always the first look when it comes to these Dutch players, and I think that interestingly, we were mentioned in relation to an article yesterday that I read, but a lot of people talking about a £35 million deal to Spurs. Manchester United mentioned, but Spurs apparently the front runners at the moment. Well, look, I think Manchester United need to sign a right winger. I know we all think that, and Steven Bergwijn is a player that, look, he might not be the most glamorous. I saw Jesse Lingard, having a laugh with Jadon Sancho at England training yesterday. I thought, the one big thing you could do for United, Jesse, is get him to come to United this summer. But I don't think that's going to happen. But we definitely need to get a right winger of quality at Manchester United. I think Bergwijn does fit that profile for what Manchester United are meant to be looking for. A young player who's shown talent, who's ready to make the next step, and is hungry to develop. And I think Bergwijn, like many others, does fit that category. And at £35 million, I think it's very interesting. I've always felt we were linked to Bergwijn quite a lot around January time, and I just think, has this happened? Remember with Lindelof? We nearly bought Lindelof in the January. We were clearly never in for him. Then we bought him in the summer. And I just wonder with Bergwijn whether it's going to be like that. Of course, he could go to Spurs. Spurs are going to be a more attractive option. They will be in the Champions League, and they may well be Champions League final. They may well be Champions League holders. Fingers crossed. I really do hope they win because it's against Liverpool. But if we're up against Spurs for Bergwijn, then maybe Bergwijn will choose Spurs. Lovely stadium, Champions League football, good manager, expressive football team. Why wouldn't he choose that option over us? But again, I think we can probably offer him more money, wages-wise. But again, we're talking about that thing, and I know it irritates a lot of people, but that may be what we have to do. I mean, I'm not talking about Spurs offer him 100 grand a week and we offer him 400 grand a week. I'm saying, like, let's give him 120 grand a week. It's still 20 grand a week more, isn't it? So, you can get yourself a brand new Ford Fiesta with that. So I would go with, I would be happy with Bergwijn. I think there are more exciting options out there, and Jadon Sancho would be one. I'd actually prefer his teammate Hirving Lozano, Nicola Pepe, but I wouldn't be unhappy with a Steven Bergwijn, and I think it makes a lot of sense for United if we're trying to fill positions, because there is a feeling that if we did get a De Ligt, or we did end up getting a Griezmann, or we did get an Ndombele, we are going to have to spend big on those sort of players. So a slightly cheaper winger who's got that potential like Bergwijn would be very interesting. Of course, if you got Rabiot and and Bergwijn and Skriniar. I mean, imagine if we got those 3 players. It's a very good point here I've made inadvertently. This does happen. So you swap Lukaku for Skriniar. Nothing spent there because well, let's pretend Solskjaer's got a £200 million transfer budget, right? £200 million to spend this summer. He swaps Lukaku with Skriniar. Well, that's nothing out of the £200 million, so that's happy days. We've got a world-class centre-back. He gets Rabiot for free. Happy days. We've got a top-class midfielder. Still got £200 million in his pocket. He spends £35 million on Bergwijn. He's still got £165 million to spend. He's got a right winger, a midfielder, and a centre-back. And he's still got £165 million to spend. That's how you could be massively impactful on this transfer window. And that would be massively exciting. Your centre-back, midfield, and right winger solved with £165 million still in your skyrocket. And you only had £200 million to spend. So that would be interesting. That would be interesting. And I'm glad I said it because I think it is interesting. Anyway, please do smash a like on the video, everybody, and make sure you subscribe if you're new. Still got a few people to talk about. Coutinho, Cillessen and Coutinho. Let's talk about those, both at Barcelona. So Cillessen's the understudy to Stegen at Barcelona, Dutch goalkeeper. Manchester United linked with him again, £25 million. And this makes sense if you think De Gea's going to leave. And I think, look, I ain't going to lie to you. I've been told De Gea's going to leave this summer. I'm not going to be one of those infuriating pretender in the nose saying De Gea's going to leave this summer. Because if I say De Gea's going to leave this summer and then he stays, he'll be staying because United have caved in and given him what he wants. And he could still stay. But as things stand, I think he will leave because I don't think United will want to lose him for free because it's embarrassing. I know we did it with Herrera, but losing one of the world's best goalkeepers for free, I think United will try and offload him this summer. If he does go, then Cillessen obviously is a goalkeeper and it makes a little bit of sense. But I feel that with Cillessen, this is about Barcelona. He's meant to be going to Benfica. And I think you mentioned Manchester United to put a little bit of pressure on Benfica to get the deal over the line. I don't think Barcelona's reserve goalkeeper is a good goalkeeper to bring in as a replacement for De Gea. You may as well play Romero. And if you get Cillessen, you basically got 2 reserve goalkeepers. We need to get a proper replacement for De Gea. And I don't see it being Cillessen. On Coutinho, well, Coutinho's apparently had a change of heart. A month ago, he didn't fancy a move to United, but now he apparently does. And they're mentioning us, they're mentioning Chelsea. Well, Chelsea have got a transfer ban, so that leaves us again. It's a bit like Gareth Bale, isn't it? Manchester United is the retirement home for flops from Barcelona and Real Madrid. The interesting thing with Coutinho is he's 26. So, he's far from retirement and he has got a number of years left in him. And he could come to Manchester United at 26 years of age, re-find his form from Liverpool and be an absolute revelation at our football club. But I don't want him. I don't want him because I just think that I've seen him play for Barcelona and he's flopped. All I ever think about Coutinho is his days at Liverpool, and Liverpool are a big rival of ours. So for me, it's a big no. However, we are being constantly linked to him, and he is 26, and on his day, he's a very, very good player. So I'll just throw it in there to see what you will want to say. For me, it's a no. Also, I mean, how much would they want for him? It's only a couple of years, isn't it? 2 or 3 years since he went from Liverpool, and they paid 100 and something million for him. I would consider taking Coutinho if we were getting him for like 35 million quid. They'd probably want 90 million for him. So it's a big fat no from me. But certainly interesting that we do keep getting links in relation to him. And we'll have to wait and see on that one. But look, as I said, those 3 would be absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic for Manchester United if we could sign them. Let's just go to Football Index. Link in the video description for this. Remember, you've got to be over 18. Please do gamble responsibly if you're going to play. How does Football Index work? Well, it's the football stock market game where you can buy shares in real life players and watch their value go up and make yourself a little bit of money in the process. Unlike a traditional bet where you bet £10 on Arsenal winning the Europa League final and you lose it, with Football Index, if you bought yourself 20 quid shares of Eden Hazard, if you can see there, they're $4.71 a share at the moment, so you get yourself about 5 shares in Hazard. If the price starts to go down, you can sell the shares in that player and buy it in somebody else, but if it goes up, you can sell them and take the profit and invest elsewhere. You can just watch it go. I mentioned Eden Hazard because this is how it works in Football Index through the summer. There aren't really any games, so prices go up based on transfer news, newsworthy stories. In a season, it's the same. It's about newsworthy stories and performance on the pitch. But in the transfer window, it's all about newsworthy stories and transfers. Eden Hazard's clearly going to move. If you look at the graph with Eden Hazard, he was up around £5.40 a share a couple of months ago. He's dropped down to £4.71 a share. Of course, when he goes to Real Madrid, it's going to shoot up. So he's a player to get hold of if you're looking to buy a few players. If you look at my portfolio, I've just realised I'm on screen here. If you look at my portfolio at the moment, I need to do a little bit of work on it really, because I've got a few players that I'm in negative for. But actually, I've got loads of players I'm in positive for, as you can see. I'm 250 quid in profit, and I am retaining a few players like Bruno Fernandes, Ndombele, Icardi. I've got Bergwijn as well. I've got Bergwijn, Koulibaly. I need to pick up a few more players that are definitely going to be moving this summer. I'm thinking more along the lines of, well, I wouldn't invest in a João Felix because I think he could move, but certainly Timo Werner's worth a shout. De Ligt, players like that. Harry Maguire may well be as well. Basically, if anybody moves, their price is going to go up. So link in the video description for that. Remember, you've got to be over 18, and please do play responsibly if you're going to do it. As I say, I would go in there with a minimum of 20 quid. There's forums and everything for this. There's absolutely loads of forums. There's people who've been doing it for a year or so and have made hundreds of quid on it because they all talk in forums and everything like that. So if you like Ultimate Football Team on FIFA or you like Fantasy Premier League, I think you really enjoy that. Links in the video description. Smash a like on the video and get your comments in below. Imagine that though, Skriniar for Lukaku, Rabiot for free, and Bergwijn for 35 million. You've basically spent 35 million and you've got a right winger, a midfielder, and a centre back. Of course, it won't happen like that. Two of them might happen, one of them might happen, but it just shows how you can be clever in the transfer market. Thanks everyone for watching. Have a go on Football Index in the link in the video description, and I shall see you all later. Thanks for watching.